Good evening, and welcome to another edition of Tell the Truth and Shame the Devil. I'm Jennings Bernard, your host. As always, we welcome you in. You know what we do here. We talk business, legal, social, whatever affects you in your community, we will talk about it. Hey, politics is everything, and everything is politics. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in. I'm sitting here tussling with these cords, had these cords wrapped under my chair, and now I got it all together. Welcome in, welcome in. Hopefully, everything is all right with you. I hate to start off talking about another young person that we lost today on something they call Skip Day, getting ready to start their life, graduating from high school. And they decided that they would keep up with what they call tradition and do a skip day. Parents probably went to work, said to the young man that I'll see you later on when you get out of school. Probably didn't know that the young man and 200 other children would meet up at the park out there near Millington and decide that they would have what they call a water gun fight. And that's probably what people getting water on each other, and I don't know. But maybe somebody got pissed off, as they would say, because maybe they got too wet or whatever it was. But the first thing, you should have been in school. And we have that tradition going around saying skip day, and you skip school. And look at what happened and cost this young man his life because he skipped school today, and 200 young people went to the park and decided they would play water gun fight. And something we don't know at this point what went wrong, but as a result of it, somebody had to put up a gun. And for the reason that they pulled up the gun, one young person has lost his life. Breaking news is when it came across the television screen, I said, what's done happened? The young man could have been the man that he would grow up to be, to probably settle some of the problems we have not only in Memphis, Tennessee. Could have been, or would have been maybe, one of the greatest surgeons of all time. Could have been a philosopher. We don't know what he could have been, but now we know what he's not going to be. He's going to have a grave marker lying in the cemetery somewhere simply because that somewhere down the line, whoever he is or they are that was involved in that shooting, now you have lost two lives or maybe three, whoever else was involved in this killing of this young man. 200 young people in that park, 200 young people from all over, I thought they were saying. But it just don't make sense to me and how carelessly that young people are today. But who do you blame? Who do you blame? It goes back to parenting. You know, back in our day, if mom says you go to school and you better not leave that school unless I check you out or somebody else check you out that's an adult that I sent, to that school. You better not leave that school. Not only was that the law of the Bernard's household, because they set the law and the rule. I was an athlete, did have to leave school because I had either game one way or the other. So I didn't fall into that category, but I don't know if anybody else did. But look at the danger of what can happen in this time in our life. A young man, mother, father, going to have to plan his funeral. But when they left going to work, he was supposed to be in school. But they decided to do the skip day. And to all the young people who may be listening and watching, I understand something that they used to say, a disobedient child don't live half of his days. If he was in high school, it may have been 17, 18. We don't know what life expectancy that he had or how long that he would have lived. But now, either 17 or 18, his life is cut short because of the foolishness that exists in our community today. And that's a problem we have. Nobody's tend to do what they're supposed to do and do the right thing because he made a slip up being not being in school where he should have been. If he had been, he would be alive today, but he's dead, he's gone. And these young people with the mindset that for some reason they got to have a gun. Some reason they have to pull a gun up and take another young person's life. And sooner or later, you better understand this. I've seen it so many times in law enforcement. You think you gone and ain't nobody gonna tell it on you, you're wrong. When they get that money right for information leading to the death of so and so, and it's $10,000, you might as well kiss the baby goodbye. Because over my career, I've seen so many 528 cash and people turning people in. You just made a mistake when you killed this young man. Your life is pretty much over. I can't even think of the fact that an individual gonna argue self-defense. How can you argue that? Self-defense when you all are out there with water guns. Ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to take the time to just think about a senseless death today. And think about the parents that got that call. They got to rush to the hospital, and when they get there, they're going to tell you that he didn't make it. All because it wasn't put into their mindset to know that there are going to be consequences if you break the rule and you skip school because of skip day. Your world was there for you. Two people's lives have changed. The one who committed the murder and the one who was killed. Ladies and gentlemen, y'all think about that. We got to do better than what we are doing with our young people. Could have been an individual on their way to college, but he won't make it there now because of the foolishness that our young people are doing. I see it so often. The way they drive up and down the street, in and out of traffic. And 9 times out of 10, the car don't belong to them. It probably belong to mama and daddy. But mama and daddy don't know how they act when they get behind the wheel of their car. But you know, it's so much that I think about what would have happened to me if I broke the rule, as long as I was in their house. You got to obey the rules. And so often it was said that if you think you can't obey the rules here, then you got to get your own place. But immediately I understood the rules. And my brothers and sisters, we obeyed those rules. But kids seem to not obey the rules now. And if y'all don't hear me, I hope you feel me because someone has lost their life. You're listening to Real Talk and the Black Community Organization, as well as Tell the Truth and Shame the Devil. We have had all of those programs with one purpose in mind, and that was to touch the young people, to get an understanding from the adults as it relates to what we have to do if we're going to make this city better. Some understand this and some don't. Well, you got a big decision to make, and welcome in to Tell the Truth and Shame the Devil. Tell your friend to tell their friend that Tell the Truth and Shame the Devil is on the air. It's a sad day. When we lose one, it's a sad day in our community. And sometimes we got to get involved and say, no matter what, I got to make a difference in this community. And if my difference is speaking to you, my difference in making is sitting down with some young person and try to tell them. I think about this all the time. Sometimes I think about the fact where I was after I left Douglas High School. It was things that I wanted to do, but took me in another direction. And that direction that it took me, and I benefited from the direction that I took that came out to be positive for me. I would tell anybody the best thing that I ever done after I graduated was to go into the United States Marine Corps. It taught me a lot of different things that mom and dad taught me, but it taught me some things outside of what mom and dad taught me. But that young man will never get to do what he could have done. And to me, it's sad. To me, it's really sad to know that we lost another young person. And we're losing them every day, every night. But it's sad that the leadership don't know how to do the right thing. All they know how to do is draw a paycheck. All they know how to do is go from one elected position to the other and create them a retirement from going to one position to another. And then it's some of y'all's fault because you ain't paying attention. You're not paying attention to what the politicians are doing to you. And as I say, you go in and you vote for them and making a living for them, having a retirement for them off of our dime because we didn't pay attention. Well, you got the opportunity on tomorrow, early voting, to pay attention. I told you that these ballots, another came in on yesterday, and you know what I told you to do with these ballots? If you need this ballot to go into a voting booth, you are not prepared. But if you don't need it, like I don't need it, then I don't need this. I can take this and throw it in the garbage. because you're going to have to start educating yourself as it relates to the people you are putting in office. It's going to change here soon, very soon. Things will change as it relates to what we see and who we vote for in the time of election. I hope you get smarter. I hope you try to learn and try to figure out what's going on and see things as they are. I saw Steve Cohen, and you all know I'm not a fan of Steve Cohen, never have, never will be. They played politics when he was first elected, and we are the reason, the black community, that he's been there for so long. We are the reason. And then I saw something that I couldn't do nothing but chuckle, but I understand life. And I understand that we have been blessed to be around here, be in meetings, understand how the political process works, how the game is played. But I never wanted to get caught up in a situation where the game is being played and you thought you got away with it, but you're finding out that you're not going to get away with it. So my thing is, and I keep saying, you got to learn who you shouldn't vote for versus the people that you should vote for. You got to learn the candidates. You got to get up. And all of these different outlets, churches, organizations that have had come out and meet the candidates. If you did that, every entity that was putting on a form for the candidate, it should have been packed to the ceiling for you to understand who's running for what, and you have in your mind who you was going to vote for. But a lot of you have those ballots in your purse. You were taking those ballots and you looked them over and over and over and didn't realize that you was giving up your rights that was given to you because that ballot, whoever has it, just took your vote. He got paid for you voting for people on that ballot. I feel confidence. I feel good tomorrow morning when I walk into that voting booth and I sit and look at the candidates and I push the buttons that I'm going to push for who I want to vote for, who I think will do a good job. That's going to be my opportunity, my rights that was given to me to make a decision. But if you give up, I say it all the time, and I keep saying to you, if you give up your right, then you're no more a slave to the person who told you who to vote for. Wake up, ladies and gentlemen. Make your decision. We got people that you know that have not done a good job, but some of them have put 30 pieces of silver in your pocket, and you got out there and you hustle and bustle and you push the ballot. And all you got was 30 pieces of silver. And what we end up doing, because if you are the majority that vote for the wrong people, we're going to end up worse than we already are. See, I pray constantly, asking my God to direct and give the knowledge and the voting power and the understanding of the people Because the only way we can save Memphis is we do the right thing by Memphis. And meaning that if you study yourself, to show thyself approved, understanding is the best thing in the world. But again, I say, if you go with that ballot and you walk into a voting booth memorizing that ballot, or you walk in and you hide a ballot, you're no more than a slave to that ballot. How many of you have really sit down? And I don't mean going in there, some of you probably do it. Go into the voting booth and go eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Oh, yeah. Who did you vote for? Oh, man, I just went in and I just pushed some buttons. I just wanted them to say I voted, I pushed some buttons. And you may have given the power to somebody, and his whole agenda or her agenda is nothing but about them. It's about the money. It's about the retirement that they can get. Like I said to you on yesterday and the day before, do you understand what is happening? And you get people who decide didn't run. Keith Williams right now. Keith Williams that was on the school board. And I know some of you know, the Teachers Association filed a suit against Keith Williams. Keith Williams couldn't go on the association building, nor could he come into the school building on Hollywood, Flicker Street, where they hold the board meeting. He couldn't go in there unless it was for board business. That's how bad the lawsuit and the allegations that were made against him. But guess what? He still thought he had enough power to say, I'm going to endorse, excuse me, a candidate. I'm turning my reins over to him. Keith Williams, what made you think you had a seat or had the authority to turn any reins over to anybody? You know what the allegations were about you. Evidently, you thought that you wouldn't get reelected or you couldn't run again. And we thank God for that, whatever reason you didn't run. But then you turn around and going to endorse somebody with your record. Do you really think people are going to support your endorsement? Keith Williams, to me, you are an embarrassment to the school system. You're an embarrassment that the teachers decided that they ought to sue you for your poor leadership. And many of you probably didn't know that. But then he turned around and an individual who was a Memphis police officer who got caught up, many of you may know about it. This individual, police officer, got caught up in taking drug money, robbing drug dealers. And now he is running for the school board. Now, something he must have did, because I didn't think you could actually run for office after being in the position that you were in to be able to run. But Keith Williams and others decided that they would endorse this man. They argued the point that, oh, everybody needs a second chance. Yeah. But what about the people who are good, that's been out here doing everything that they supposed to do, but were not given a first chance? But here we are. This individual, the former Memphis Police Department, after I researched candidate and someone informed me about him, and I remember this situation. I was still working in 201 Poplar, but this police officer, I remember seeing him in 201 Poplar, but down Terrence Harris is running for the school board, District 6. Here we are, going to people who have violated the law, who shame the Memphis Police Department as an officer. But then something happened here. What was it that happened that he could be able to run for a school board district? Now, you tell me, would you vote for an individual? Some say, well, everybody deserves a second chance. Well, I believe in second chances, it all depends on what you were charged with. But I believe that people who have done the right thing by this community should be given a first chance. There are individuals that are running for the school board District 6 that have been working hard to help the school children and the parents that's been helping and doing the right thing. You got a decision to make between now, tomorrow, and the 30th, and on the primary election day. If you don't do your early voting, you still got some decision to make. But somehow it just get away with me that these so-called leaders think that they have the power even when they don't have the power. And Keith Williams, as I said, had a lawsuit filed against him by the Teachers Association that he's supposed to be representing, but he has the audacity to think that he can endorse someone. Now, if some of y'all go along with him, that's to me who you are and what you are. See, I see things in Memphis, Tennessee that I don't see anywhere else that I've been. We reward individuals for bad behavior, but yet in their bad behavior, they still think they will power to endorse another individual by the name of Terrence. We think we can inherit. We think you can just let him do what they want him to do, and he's a part of that circle now. And ladies and gentlemen, I just don't understand that. It's bad enough that we have poor leadership, but then we're going to have other people being placed, if you elect him, that have done bad behavior as well. When will we put people like Frederick Tappan, a man who has been around here working and helping people all his life, and all he asks is that you give him the chance to do what he's been doing all his life for the children. You got Solandra Ford, who was doing a great job, but because of this political realm we have, she was defeated. But she did some things in that office, register of deed, that no one has done since they had a registered deed. She protected the people, the elderly, the young adults who had property. She helped to put a law in place that it's a felony if you try to steal someone's property. She went up there to Nashville and talked to the Senate and the House and got laws passed that you could go to jail. But no one did that before. But the powers that be will try to get you to believe that she's the worst thing that ever held office, and that's a lie. See, I got to know her. I know the receipts. I did my background check as it relates to who she was, and she's clean. She worked on your behalf. We got a sheriff department that's so screwed up, and I worked there for many years, and I know the game and how they still to this day playing the good old boy game. I used to see people walk through the halls of the sheriff's department, had certain ranks on their shoulder that wasn't worthy to have it, but because they are part of the good old boy, because their father or their cousin or what somebody was in power and walked them all the way through. I've seen that. Matter of fact, your former sheriff that's finna leave there, Floyd Bunner, I worked with him. I know who he is. And he would never qualify to be the sheriff. But you end up got hooked up on the craziness. We need a black sheriff, the first black sheriff. But look at what your first black sheriff didn't do. Didn't stop the killing and the dying in the jail. You got right now the assistant second in command, Anthony Buckner. They worked with Floyd Bunner. They worked together, but they couldn't figure out how to stop the killing. One thing is they couldn't get qualified people. The biggest mistake in my mind that they ever made in the history of the sheriff department was when they replaced deputy sheriffs with deputy jailers. And the inmates never looked at them with any authority to be able to do anything because they was deputy jailers. That was the time you had to work at least 5 years as a deputy sheriff before you could bid out anywhere else. See, the sheriff's department should be deputy sheriffs in that jail with the authority as the deputies have in squad cars, fugitive, or anywhere else. And that's when I came in. You had to give up those days, those years, before you could bid out. And I bid out to patrol. I went to serving paper process. I was in the fugitive squad. There were different places that I went because I wanted to know more about the department just being in the jail. See, you got to go into these positions wanting to learn, but evidently Buckner and the sheriff couldn't figure it out. And see, I studied people, those who were truly leaders in the sheriff's department. And we had some chief jailers under my tenure that they knew what to do and how to do it. They know what to implement in the jail, and the jails were kept clean. Wasn't no breaking of the doors because at that time the sheriff department and the deputies had a whole lot of leisure to do what was necessary. But it comes down to the leadership that been pushed on you with no experience. How can a man tell you about the jail when he never worked in the jail? But yet your jail falls under your responsibility. See, to be a leader, in my opinion, you got to know how to lead. You got to been there and done that. They can't send a Marine or an Army or any law enforcement or military into battle if they have not been trained to know how to be a soldier. When you get deputy jailers in a jail, when you got hardened criminals, and the criminals know that you don't have any authority, then you're going to end up with a jail just like 201 Poplar now. See, you got to put people in office that know, been there, done that, Reginald Hubbard, 36 or more years, worked all over the sheriff's department, narcotics, and I can go on, but he was assistant chief in that jail. He dealt with that jail up until he retired. That's somebody that know what to do, how to do it. But yet, the politics of this city don't give us the experience. They give us the non-experienced guy. And that's what you're going to do with Anthony Buckner. I mean, they giving him the money. It's an agenda. They're going to try to push a new jail if it is. There's a whole lot of money to be made by certain people that's pushing that jail. They want to push that jail through. They want you to pay for the jail so other people can get rich. The carpenters, the plumbers, the sheetrock people, all the people that it takes up to make up that jail. When you put a person in there that's hell bent on helping to get a jail so other people can get rich, that's what you're going to have. Nothing but chaos. So I'm saying to you, get a person like Reginald Hubbard that know what it is to be a leader as well as a sheriff. We go on and we can look at our situation in District 9, District 6, the school board, District 7. All these things they have done, and people have been in those positions for 4 years and nothing has been done. What have you benefited from this leadership? Steve Cohen has been in there almost 30 years, and I keep asking people, tell me what he's done. And they say he's done a good job. Well, I know the Church of God in Christ is going to support him because he brought a 1,200,000 for the renovation or the upkeep of Mason Temple. Now you drop that into a church organization. I said, in my opinion, you just bought all of those votes. And why did Steve Cohen just at this time, all of a sudden, that 1.2 million for the upkeep or whatever they're going to do it with it, drop a check like that to the leadership of COSI? To me, may not be to you, but to me, in my opinion, that's a way of getting votes. And we go, oh, wow, wow, look what Steve Cohen did. Steve Cohen playing you. And some of you know it. And the leadership in COGIC, what they're going to do, they're going to tell all the COGIC, this is what was done, and we need to keep him in office so they can benefit. But you and I and others are not benefiting one iota of Steve Cohen being in office. Can you tell me, not only him or any other elected official that showed that you benefited community or any other way under leadership? See, the leadership ought to be able to stand and say, this is what I've done since I've been in the leadership position. This is what I've done. But none of them can tell you what they're doing because all they're trying to do is work their way up the ladder. So when they get through, let's think about it. There have been those who in leadership have left the school board, go to the city council, and then run for county commission and have gotten elected on the county commission. Then they go and get on the Memphis Light, Gas, and Water Board, building up their finance by way of retirement. And I had a gentleman I was talking to, and he said, I heard you, and you were saying Vested. What does that mean? I said, Doc, it means that you got enough time. You've been vested in 7.5 years. You got a retirement coming. It may not be much in 7 years, but if you stay there over your time of 30 years, that means a whole lot. If you work your way up to a higher pay scale, mean that if you're getting $200,000 a year, you could easily get 125,000 in retirement. It's about working your way up. And a lot of people didn't work their way up. They were just promoted up because they knew somebody. I've seen guys that I trained in fugitive that ended up being lieutenant, sergeant, and captain that couldn't fight their way out of wet paper bag, didn't know the streets at all. And they used to say, you ride with Bernard because he know the streets of North Memphis. That was no lie. And I trained some from North and South Memphis that wasn't able to deal with what was out there in the street at that time. So it's a game that's being played all over. And I'm saying what I'm saying. It's going to get rougher than this. We're going to keep telling you, keep talking to you, because guess what? I don't want anything from you. But what I want to do is push the knowledge on you. Everything that I find out because I was too strong for the power to be, and I was too strong for the people who was too weak to understand what true leadership was about. But I don't worry about that. I've done what I'm supposed to do. And now I've been given another assignment to keep you informed. Some like it, some don't like it, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to keep doing what I have to do to make sure you understand that these people who think they have so much authority, even when they done screwed up, they have the audacity, Keith Williams, to try to endorse someone who has been a criminal and now is running for the school boards in District 6. Ain't nothing no police officer or anybody else said to me when you did drug trafficking, when you was doing things illegal as a officer, that we depend on you for safety and whatever, and you out there doing the criminal acts of the criminals when you supposed to be a servant. Somehow y'all got to start thinking. And the first thing you need to do is take them ballots and put them down, tear them up. Study, and I will say this to you, to show thyself approved in life. You know, there's a thing that you look at in school, that you go to school for a reason, to study, to learn, to do, and to be in whatever position you want, but only in politics that you don't study, that the people don't prepare themselves to be where they are now. And they sit there, and I've seen them. Then y'all do this. The next time you see someone on the county commission, you see someone on the city council, and the decision time comes. If you see them leaning over there to someone who has been on the board longer, then that person is not qualified to be, but you put them there. So how do you put a person in a position that don't know the rules of that position? I find that to be a little strange. I find that to be a little weak when it comes to the people. So what I say to you, and I'm gonna leave you now, what I would simply say to you, I hope that you are prepared I hope that you're not going to the polls tomorrow with a ballot in your hand or memorize the ballot. That tells me you didn't do your homework. And that tells me if we don't do the right thing when it comes to this election, then we won't ever do it right. It'll continue to be wrong. I'm Jenny Bernard. You've been listening to Tell the Truth and Shame the Devil. I really do appreciate you tuning in and being a part of this program. I want you to hit the subscribe button and the like button, as well as on YouTube, which is MemphisRealTalk.com, Spotify the same, X the same, and our website the same, just MemphisRealTalk, one word.com. Subscribe, and you'll be glad you did, because we're going to continue to bring this information to you. In the words of my grandmother, she used to always say, if it's the Lord's will and the creek don't rise. You have a great day, election day tomorrow. You get up, and for those who did not register, and you could, shame on you. For those who are sitting home tomorrow and won't go to the polls to vote because you have that mentality that they're going to do what they want to do anyhow, shame on you. Those who didn't tell the people in your home that's able to vote to register to vote, shame on you. Because it's up to you to make a difference in our life. And remember what I said. I said trust everyone, but do not trust the devil inside of them. I'm Jenny Bernard. You've been listening to Tell the Truth and Shame the Devil. Get ready to go to polling. It's on you. School board, gotta go. Gotta go. Other positions, county commissioner, some of them gotta go. Gotta go. But the only reason they can go is that you do what you need to do. And I hope and pray that we have a flip over, a changeover in these individuals on that school board. And I post something from Senator Brett Taylor and Representative Mark White. Interesting conversation. Senator Taylor called Representative Mark White and said that he will be making a motion on tomorrow on the Senate floor that the Overseas Committee will be in place. And I believe on tomorrow you will have that overseas individual in place. And I'm for it, because the board right now messed up. They want to tell you everything else, what happened and why it happened and who picking on who. It's not about that. It's about you at the board. Y'all screwed up. And sometimes when you screw up so bad, they'll take you down. And that's what the people need to do. Trust everyone, but do not trust the devil inside of them. Peace. Take care. Go vote tomorrow.